Okay. While getting ready to beam aboard the Romulan ship, Scotty comments that if there's any logical construction to the ship, according to him, they would be beamed into the cargo bay, when in fact they're beamed aboard what I can only surmise is either the Romulan engine room or the bridge. So of course they're surrounded by Romulans, Nero and his first officer included. They get into a firefight. Now, these phasers that they use, it's fairly clever, the stun and kill setting, how those little tabs switch. Still, as much as I hate Enterprise, I thought their phase pistols looked better. But after the fight, Spock mind melds with a Romulan to discover the location of the Vulcan shuttle and Captain Pike. So once they get to the shuttle, we find out that the ship's commission date was 10 years after Voyager returned from the Delta Quadrant. Now, I'm not a complete expert, but I know my Trek. And even at that time, the Romulans' ships looked nothing like that. The Romulans themselves look nothing like they do in this movie. Their weapons, their staffs. But now it looks like... It reminded me of Saris's ship from Galaxy Quest. That's how bad it looked. Anyway, after they save Captain Pike and Spock pilots the vessel, the Vulcan shuttle, attacks Nero's ship because his weapons were a hell of a lot more advanced than the Enterprise, so they were more effective. He basically does the same thing as Lieutenant Kirk, collides with Nero's ship, and the red matter explodes. All of it. And as we've seen, one drop of that stuff could create a black hole big enough to engulf a planet. Where this huge ball of that stuff should have created a black hole big enough for the entire quadrant, at least. But it was barely enough to encompass the Narada and the Enterprise. Now, how the Enterprise gets out of it, it's kind of cool, but it's been used way too many times. They eject their warp cores. Yes, I said cores. There's like 4 of them. Eject them, detonate, blast throws them free. Classic and way overused solution to a problem. So next we cut to the board hearing. Of course, he gets promoted to captain to relieve Admiral Pike. They call it Commodore, but it's Admiral. And he's in a wheelchair. After all of Nero's torture. So, and they don't even mention it, but any moderate Trekkie knows that he got a commendation for original thinking because of the Kobayashi Maru. So, board Enterprise, he's finally in his yellow shirt, which admittedly looks weird. The new uniforms, which I'll talk about in a minute, I don't know, they just look odd. Fairly close to the original series, but still odd. Now, seeing the overture at the end is cool. Having Leonard Nimoy, for if I'm not mistaken, the first time saying, you know, the Space Final Frontier speech was pretty cool. Especially because you can tell that it wasn't old footage. It was him. He recorded it when they filmed the movie. But seeing everyone in their respective places, guiding engineering, Bones in sick bay, which, by the way, if you paid attention earlier in the movie when they first boarded the Enterprise, Chapel was on board. And the original actress that played Chapel, obviously the late and great Majel Barrett Roddenberry, she was the computer's voice when Chekhov was trying to input his access code, which was pretty damn cool. It means she's been the computer voice on almost every major Federation starship in the last 40 years. Pretty cool. Anyway, hearing the famous Star Trek theme song was cool. I mean, I didn't like how they remixed it, but it was cool. Now, for my problems with the overall timeline.